Hi, this is Dan from Hello Music Theory. In this series of videos I'm going through some of the questions that could come up in an ABRSM Grade 1 Music Theory exam. But for this video we're going to be taking a look at how to add missing rests to an extract of music. So when you see this question it's going to say something like add a rest at the places marked with a star to make each bar complete. So our job is to go through the extract and work out which rest is missing and then add the correct one. Now, when you start this question, the first bit of information you need to look for is what is the time signature, as this is so key to getting this question right. This one here is in 4/4, so that means that every single bar should add up to 4 crotchet beats. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the first bar, see how many beats there are in total already, and then we can know how many beats are missing, and then we can add the appropriate rest. So let's get to it. So here we've got 1 crotchet, which is worth 1 crotchet beat. We've got 2 half a beat quavers, so we've got 2 there, 2 half beats there. We've got a gap for the rest, so we'll come back to that in a minute, and then we've got 2 more half beats. And in total, we've got 1, 2, 3 beats altogether. Now our time signature is 4/4, so that means there should be 4 crotchet beats, but there's only 3. So we need to add the rest that's worth 1 beat, 1 crotchet beat. Now hopefully you've learned a bit about rests already, but that looks like this. This is the beat, the rest for a crotchet, like that. So that's worth 1 beat. So now we've got another beat there, which is represented by that rest. And then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 beats, which means that our time signature makes sense. So we're good for that bar. Let's have another look at the next bar, and then hopefully it'll make a bit more sense. So here we've got a dotted quaver. Now a dotted quaver is worth 3/4 of a beat, and then we've got the semi-quaver next to it, which is worth 1/4 of a beat. Those two notes together are worth 1 beat altogether, so those are worth 1. Then we've got another crotchet, it's worth another beat, and then we've got a dotted crotchet, which is worth 1.5 beats. So in total we've got 1, 2, 3.5 beats. So we need to put in the right rest that's worth half a beat to make this bar complete, because our time signature is 4 crotchet beats. Now the rest for half a beat is called a quaver rest, and it looks like this. It's kind of like a small number 7. Hopefully you've seen that before, with a little flick on the end. So now we've got half a beat there. And so we've got 1, 2, 3, and then 2 halves equals a whole. We've got 4 beats in that bar, so that one's good as well. So here, now on this next bar, we've got a whole bar of silence. We need to put the rest in for a whole bar. Now for grades 1, you've got the 3 time signatures that you need to know about are 2/4, 3/4, and 4/4. And whenever you have a whole bar of silence in any of those time signatures, you always use a semi-breve rest. That's the case even if it's 3/4 or 2/4, you still use a semi-breve rest, because that always means a whole bar of silence. Now a semi-breve rest hangs off of the second line, like that, and then we colour it in, like that. So that's worth 4 crotchet beats, usually, but it also means a whole bar of silence. And it's easily confused with a minim rest, which sits on the third line, and it sits on it rather than hanging. So that's a minim rest, which is worth 2 beats. But you have to remember which one's which. I always remember that the semi-breve rest is worth more, and so it kind of hangs because it's so heavy. Whereas the minim rest is worth less because it's only worth 2 beats, and so it can sit comfortably on the third line. So now we've done it. We've completed this extract. Each bar adds up to 4 crotchet beats, and so we're done. Let's have another look at an example. This one's in 3/4, so we'll take a look at this. So again, the first bit of information you need to look at is what is the time signature. This one's in 3/4, so that means that every single bar has to add up to 3 crotchet beats. So let's get to it. So here we've got a gap for a rest straight away, and then we've got 2 quavers, which are worth half a beat each. So this bar only adds up to 1 beat so far, because 2 halves equals 1 whole. So we need to put in a rest that's worth 2 beats. Now, we just covered it in that last slides, but a minim rest is worth 2 beats, and that one sits on that third line just there, and then we colour it in, and that's worth 2 beats. So now we've got 2 beats there, and then we've got 2 half beats equals 3, and that adds up to our time signature. So this bar is now complete. Hopefully this is making sense. We'll do a few more examples just so that it's drummed into you. Okay, we've got a dotted crotchet, which is worth 1.5 beats. There, we've got a gap for a rest, we'll come back to that, and then we've got 2 quavers, which are worth half a beat each. So we've got 1.5 plus another 1, because these two add up to 1. So we've got 2.5 beats. But again, our time signature is 3/4, so we're missing half a beat. So we need to put in a quaver rest to make that bar complete. So now that's worth half a beat. We've got 1 plus 2 halves, that equals 2 altogether. And then these two are worth 1. 2 plus 1 equals 3, and we've got a complete bar. It's looking good. Right, oh, okay, here we go. We've got a gap for a rest. We'll come back to that. And then we've got 4 semiquavers. So semiquavers are obviously worth 1/4 of a beat each. I'll draw them in now just quickly so you can see. So each one is worth 1/4 of a beat. And if we've got 4 quarters, add that up together, that equals 1 whole crotchet beat. So all those semiquavers together add up to 1. And then at the end we've got another crotchet beat. So here we've got 2 beats in this bar already, but again we need it to be 3 because the time signature is 3/4, so we're missing a crotchet beat. So we need to put in a crotchet rest here to make this bar complete. So now that crotchet rest is worth 1 beat. We've got the 4 semiquavers, which are also worth 1, and then we've got a crotchet at the end. Even with the tie, it doesn't matter because that's on the other, it's in the next bar. So now this bar adds up to 3/4. Let's take a look at one last example in 2/4 and then we'll finish. So let's get started. We've got 2 semiquavers, which are worth 1/4 of a beat each. Again, we're looking for a 2/4, so each bar needs to add up to 2. So we've got 2 semiquavers there, and then we've got a quaver. So we've got half and then 2 quarters. So that all together adds up to 1 crotchet beat. So we're going to put a 1 there. We've got a gap for a rest, so we'll come back to that. And then we've got 3 semiquavers, which are all worth 1/4 of a beat each. So let's put those in there. So how many beats are we missing in this bar? So we've got 1 here, and then we've got 3 quarters. So we're missing, we've got to make it add up to 2. So we're missing 1/4 of a beat. And we haven't covered it yet, but a 1/4 of a beat is the right rest for that is a semiquaver rest, and it looks really similar to the quaver rest. So it's like a small number 7, but it's got a second kind of flick there. So now that is also worth 1/4 of a beat. So those now all add up to 1. And we've got 1 beat, we've got a second beat with that rest. That is correct with our time signature. So we're good for that bar. Oh, okay, here we go. We've got another whole bar of silence. Now, hopefully you remember what I said at the beginning. Even though we're in 2/4, you'd think that a minim rest would be right, and that we draw a minim rest like that, because that's worth 2 beats. And of course, this time signature is 2/4, so that would be right, but that would be wrong. Because whenever you've got a whole bar of silence in 2/4, 3/4, or 4/4, we always write in a semi-brief rest. So it's the one that hangs because it's heavier. So that is the correct symbol for a whole bar of silence. It would be wrong if you'd written in the minim rest. So now that one's done. Okay, and now the last bar before we finish, we've got, let's work it out, we've got half a beat there with the quaver, we've got another half a beat, so that adds up to 1 beat. And then we're missing a rest. So here we've got 1 beat, we're missing 2 beats here. Oh no, sorry, we're missing 1 beat. See, I'm getting this wrong. We're missing 1 beat there because we're in 2/4. So the rest for a 1 beat crotchet beat is a crotchet rest. So it looks like that, because that's now worth 1 beat. We've got a second beat with these 2 quavers, and then we're done. So hopefully that's starting to make a bit more sense, and you know how to tackle that question when you see it in an exam. I hope you're enjoying these videos. If you've got any questions or you want to email me about any videos you want me to make, feel free to get in touch. Just head over to the website and fill out the contact form, and I'll get back to you really soon. But see you next week. We've got another video on Grade 1 Music Theory exam questions. Thanks so much.